discussion on the Kufuor administration and its legacy or attitude towards the law and the rule of law and the courts cannot be made without a bit of a throwback to what the Kufuor administration inherited. The Kufuor administration inherited a system where, well, the then president, or the immediate past president then, Mr. Rawlings, had been in power for 11 years as an unconstitutional head of state, and then for 8 years as a constitutional head of state. Now, the judiciary was essentially bastardized and suffered a lot. I mean, the rule of law also came under all kinds of attacks during the days of Mr. Rawlings in relation to his Provisional National Defense Council, JANTA, and then the subsequent National Democratic Congress administration that followed for the 8-year period that Mr. Rawlings ruled constitutionally. Now, against that backdrop, Mr. Kufuor, the NPP administration came into office. Mr. Kufuor himself is a lawyer, as we all know. Now, what we saw at the period was a period of opening up, boldness. You saw a judiciary that was more, if you like, forthcoming, that was more independent in thought. The Kufuor administration, even in relation to the media, freed a lot of space for the media to push the frontiers of, or widen the frontiers of democracy, and if you like, media space for parties.
Here in Ghana, you show us a face of Africa that is too often overlooked by a world that sees only tragedy or a need for charity. The people of Ghana have worked hard to put democracy on a firmer footing, with repeated peaceful transfers of power, even in the wake of closely contested elections.
Why did your party lose the elections? You've talked about how very well you did with Ghana and the economy and the governance, and yet your party lost.
Please, politics is not all about the practical achievements of a government. Votes are cast a lot of time on sentiment. Let me tell you, if you look at America, the United States, a lot of times you do not see the logic of how even the most advanced countries in the world vote. Some youngster comes, very handsome,
Like
very
Barack Obama?
well, look at that. Or John Kennedy of those times. Well schooled, well spoken, only at the age of 43 or so. And by 70 was, I think, about 56 or so. Kennedy finished in that person. So that's politics for you.
Right.
It's not just the wisdom and the goodies. And also, when you've had power in democracy for quite some time, you begin to pour. It gets to a point where the people say, oh, we've had enough of you. We just sit aside and just see some fresh face. It's been around for a bit too long. It's not just because we've done anything wrong much. It's just that the people want to change, and they give it to themselves. They're entitled. Yes. Make their leaders and not make them.
You foresee your party come to power?
It's very possible. That's the beauty of multi-party democracy is that there are swings. The people who are the masters, their destiny, may wake up one morning and say, this man who sits there in the Jubilee House or at the castle, we've had too much of it. Let's bring on this new person.
Greece, but I'm representing Socialist International here, an international organization of about 180 countries, 180 socialist and social democratic parties of the world. And we are here at the request of the NDC and to observe the elections and the whole electoral process. And it seems to be going very smoothly indeed for the time being. We've been to several electoral centers already, and everything is going well. It's very orderly, and it seems to be a good turnout. I would say happy.
Yeah?
Yes. because the reports from all over the country are positive. People are going about voting with seriousness and resolve. They want to take the next president and also the next parliament very well, because we all appreciate that these are going to be the governors, the leaders of the society. And so I like the atmosphere.
Mr. President, how do you feel about the overall rate about the general campaign so far?
So far, yes, through the campaign, I would say generally people have comported themselves well, in spite of the occasional discordant voice and threats and that sort of. But we all knew where such threats were coming from. But across the board, generally, I would say people have behaved very well.
Okay, before we wish you luck, we know you are in your very last hours.
Would it be a one-touch for the MPP?
I feel, well, wait till tomorrow.
What excites you? What excites you about this election? What excites you? Yeah.
That I've ended my tenure, I believe, on a positive note, with the entire nation showing readiness to help select my successor and also the next parliament.
Thank you very much.
Do you think it's going to be a first round?
I keep my fingers crossed for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I think it is a great excitement to be on this square to witness the swearing in of the third president of the Fourth Republic. And I think it augurs very well for this country because he is going to begin a parliament that is very balanced. And when we listen to the parliamentary proceedings already this morning, the parliamentarians themselves were convinced of the fact that Ghana's democracy is maturing and that we've got to a point now where we would have to build consensus, and that national unity must be the focus of this particular parliament that is coming in. So being here, I see the transition as one, coming from the NDC 1993 to 2000, an NPP government 2000 to 2008, and now an NDC government, yes, that is beginning 2009 onwards, but that has an onerous task to build a country of national unity.
Well, the Kufuor administration, I think, did a number of things that were good, particularly the first term of the administration, where early in 2001 there were many difficulties, economic difficulties, problems with huge debt, both domestic and international, and so there wasn't much room for government to do anything. I think that one of its greatest achievements was not quarreling over that debt or not making too much of a big deal of it, but seeing it as something that needed to be addressed and addressed in an urgent manner so that the country will have maneuvering room. And that was done, I think, in good fashion, efficiently, but many people don't quite understand that it was led by former President Kufuor himself. He led that task. He set the objective. He went for HIPIC, and he told his people, that's what I want. And the rest of them worked to support that decision.
It is not an exaggeration to say that the country was left in a much poorer state when Kufuor took over. Now, the distinctive interest I've had in the Kufuor regime is the personal strength and the personal integrity he brought to government. He was expected perhaps to prosecute the excesses of the previous regimes, going back to the military foundations of it. But he did no such thing. He allowed himself to be dictated to by the constitutional provisions of governance.
What I would say mostly is that no matter what his ideas are, no matter what they are worth, he has helped to make Ghana what it is today. President Kufuor, in the beginning, a lot of people would not even think about adopting HIPIC, the HIPIC program. But as a leader, he did. When he did, the HIPIC program has helped Ghana in so many ways. One of the significant moves that he made, which he should be commended for, is the establishment of the Universal Health Program. That was a bold move because health outlay is a huge item in any nation's budget. To talk about healthcare, a lot of people, and some people, even developed nations, some of them will shy away from it. But he realized that Ghana, we need universal health care.
Issues to do with politics in Ghana, relating directly to what has just happened with the elections, which painfully the NPP lost to the NDC. I want to start with what ideas we came up with in the campaign. During the campaign, we thought that the NPP administration of 8 years had done more than enough in terms of the development of the country, in terms of governance and enhancing democracy in this country. So we went in with a very positive message. First of all, acknowledging the contribution that in the 8 years of the NPP administration, Kufuor had been able to bring to the people of Ghana. And these were both in the areas of economics and the social aspects. In terms of the economy, we're talking about the road, the infrastructure which has been built up around the country, in all four corners of the country. And in terms of education and health, we're talking about social programs.
And an emerging civil society, Ghana's economy has shown impressive rates of growth. This progress may lack the drama of 20th century liberation struggles, but make no mistake, it will ultimately be more significant. For just as it is important to emerge from the control of other nations, it is even more important to build one's own nation. So I believe that this moment is just as promising for Ghana and for Africa as the moment when my father came of age and new nations were being born. This is a new moment of great promise. Only this time we've learned that it will not be giants like Nkrumah and Kenyatta who will determine Africa's future. Instead, it will be you.
In terms of political activity in Ghana, you've had the highest, been president, been there, done that. How would you like history to remember you?
Well, I told you that I believe the raison d'etre for politics is the human being to succeed, to help make life better for humanity. If you make people feel they also count, especially now that the world is opening up. If you help make the African restore confidence into himself, so he stands eyeball to eyeball with the other races, then to me, you've achieved a lot. And I believe I've worked in this direction. At least I'm told so, all over the world. So once I've served humanity, I'm happy.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you.